So, some new casting news has finally been reported on the Batwoman series about who's going to replace Ruby Rose. But as much as I want to get into that, I think the only thing that's really much more interesting, aside from the qualities of Batwoman, is really this kind of crossroads moment for the Batverse. Now, I myself am not a big fan of the Joker, but I do appreciate that they tried to do something imaginative and different with the Joker mythos. And Batwoman just has always struck me, even before the TV series, way back with the animated film, and even to some extent with comic books, as just a very cynical cash grab and a very empty character that was just being put out there to sell more things and more products within the Batman universe. And I can't fault Warner Brothers as a corporation. It is a profit-seeking entity, and it's going to try to keep pushing things out there. But if you really do know the Batman universe, there's already plenty of female characters, whether the Huntress, Spoiler, Catwoman, and if they really wanted more female representation or lesbian representation, they could have easily taken one of these characters and tried to do something interesting or imaginative in whatever format, but instead, out of nowhere, they created this weird Batwoman character. Again, not Batgirl. Not Batgirl. This is literally just another version of the Batgirl character just to make more money, and they've kind of ruthlessly tried to keep incorporating her over and over again in different formats to very little success, and I think deservedly so. So I do wish the creators a lot of luck with the new direction they're going to take, and I hope that it is a success, but I really can't give them a vote of confidence. Now, to put things in larger perspective, we do have to be fair that Batman as a universe and myth has gone through redefinitions, so I definitely don't have an issue with let's take the canonical myth and expand upon it. Now, the Batwoman character herself is pretty weak. I mean, she's just the cousin of Bruce Wayne, and we're just going to make her a certain version of Batman, and that's it. And insofar as the idea goes, I don't have any issue with that, but it just seems such a small and very uncreative expansion of the myth. I don't see what was the point. And to be honest, if we take something like the Red Hood, I'm still on the fence about it, and I'm not going to spoil it for people who aren't familiar totally with the Red Hood. But yes, it is sometimes okay, but sometimes it's not okay to just bring in new characters or redefine old characters. It's always going to be a very delicate balance of going back and forth with the mythology, but the Batwoman has always struck me as really an extreme version of just taking the name brand recognition of Batman, but not really doing anything with it. So again, I have no issue with just experimenting with the character. I thought the Grant Morrison version in the comic books was actually pretty interesting, and I think for the most part was a success. But Batwoman is sort of like the complete extreme opposite. We just have this story of this very privileged white woman lesbian created by white women lesbians talking about themselves and having their wish fulfillment, and Batwoman triumphs over everything and beats up the bad guys and blah 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 blah. And it's just mediocre acting, mediocre special effects, mediocre music. There's no reason for it. There's nothing behind the character. There was nothing really there to begin with. And to be fair, I mean, the CW has been sort of all over the place. After Smallville, I really haven't looked in at it that much. I've watched a few Supergirl episodes, and that's about it. So maybe this is a broader problem, which is the CW has been declining. And I do have to be honest that looking back at Smallville, I can definitely see a lot more problems in the early seasons that I wasn't aware of later on. However, even there, as much as they redefined Superman and the Superman myth with Smallville, there was, I think, at least the promise of them doing something interesting with Batman, Clark, Lex, Lana, and the whole thing. But Batwoman doesn't strike me as one of those, it's just a weird, promising beginning, but it has a lot of problems. It just seems it's problematic from the get-go. So again, I wish them a lot of luck, but this just seems to me just the same old thing, what it was in another format. In the animated film, it was just a cynical attempt. Let's just use the Batman name to sell something, and here we are again. Decades later, it hasn't really changed. It's just the same old cynical formula, and just doing a couple of weird little things where representation doesn't, to my mind, really alter what we're really looking at, which is a very mediocre character and very, very mediocre product just being put out there, and they're just trying to twist it in the public to make it seem something that it really isn't. But it is still what it is. It's a very inferior character. It doesn't really need to exist. It could go away tomorrow. It really wouldn't matter. If they do want a female character, fine, then pick one of the more established characters, but I think they're just trying to have it both ways. Let's have a Catwoman series now and a Huntress series, and basically force consumers to pay more for essentially the same product. So, again, I wish them a lot of luck, and maybe they'll pull off a miracle, and I'll be tempted to come back to it. But from what I've seen, there's really no reason to be excited about this, no reason to care, and I hope Batwoman just enjoys a very quick and easy death, and we move on to bigger and better things. Alright, this has been Popcult Analyzed on difficulties within the Batverse. Thank you for listening. Please be safe.